Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A short and quick PSA before today's story. As some of you know, last week I launched my Reddit Stories podcast, and it's available on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Amazon Audible, and Castbox. All episodes will be available for everyone except for the last 5 episodes at any given moment, which will be exclusive for those who subscribe. The release of each daily podcast time is the same as the YouTube video of the day. Also, you'll find all the relative links in the video description below. And I'd just like to say in advance, thank you to those of you who choose to subscribe and support me and my work. I really appreciate it. Now, let's begin with today's story. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's by user HeadFinish. My 29 male ex 26 female left me 2 years ago because I couldn't have children. Now 2 years later, she is back with some other guy's baby wanting me to be the father. To me, this is all forms of messed up. I understood why she left. I can't now, nor will I ever be able to produce children. I've known this from a very early age, and I told her within a week of us being a couple so she wouldn't be surprised and could get out if she wanted. However, she claimed it didn't bother her and that maybe someday we could adopt. We were together for almost 3 years when she tells me that even though she loved me and wanted to spend her life with me, that it had been weighing on her because she wanted to be a mother and not an adoptive mother. I was sad, of course, never really got over it, to be honest with you, but I knew the right thing to do was to let her go. Initially, we tried to keep in contact and I would answer her texts from time to time, but I had to stop following her on Instagram because she started posting photos of her and different guys, but then down to just one guy. I could not take it, so I stopped. I haven't texted or spoken with her for over a year and honestly had lost track of her. My phone rings and it is from an unknown caller, so I let it go to voicemail, and when I listened to it, sure enough, it was her. She was begging me to call her, that she really needed to talk with me and she needed my help. So I called back the number she left and she answered right away. She stated that because of everything being shut down, that she desperately needed a place to stay for a while. She said she would explain all of the circumstances if she could come over. Now, I know for a fact her family is on the other side of the country. I know this from when I was with her, so she does not have family to rely on for this. I said that I was hesitant about this, but would let her stay for a short time until she gets a place to go to. She showed up at my door the other day, pulling a large suitcase with one hand and a baby in the other. Needless to say, I was a little stunned by this, but I didn't say anything because of what she was there to say. She was very happy to see me and she introduced me to her son and told me how old he was. I just smiled and said he was a cute kid. She comes in and sits her stuff down and I ask her what were her plans and how long did she think she would need to stay. Well, between being on maternity leave and now this crap that is going on around, she lost her job because the company was closed down. She is hoping once this is over, they will bring her back, but there is no real guarantee of this. She then decides to lay this one on me. She said that the father of the child was not someone she ever loved or had any interest in being with him, and for that matter, he didn't want her either. He is an older guy, a little over 40, who is very well off, and that her son will not want for anything. I took this time to ask why he wasn't providing them with a place to stay, and this is when she hits me with this. She never stopped loving me. She still loves me and she had found someone who would agree to be a part-time parent but able to take care of their child's financial needs. She said he knew all about me and how she wanted to be with me and he encouraged her to come back to me. We talked for several hours and I told her that for now, I would be happy to put her up for a couple of days while we figure out what to do from here. In the meantime, she has given me the name, phone number, and address of the father of her child and has been encouraging me to call him and ask him anything and that he will support her story about wanting to be with me. I have so far declined. I don't know what to think or do here. On the one hand, she broke my heart, but I never blamed her for it. She had a right to have a natural child and I couldn't do it, so it hurts, but I get it. But this entire situation is messed up in my mind. What kind of man lets his child be raised by someone else willingly and still be willing to pay for almost 100% of the child's care? Now, here is the other part. While I never blamed her for what she chose, how the hell does she reconcile still always loving me while acting out finding sex partners to have a child with? Why did we not try adoption or get a donor? How do I reconcile sitting at home the past 2 years heartbroken, particularly now that she has said she has always loved me? What about the kid? Isn't this going to mess him up? I mean, what would I be to him? It sounds like the dad still wants to be a dad on occasion, so what am I? I mean, I will never have a child of my own, so this honestly is the closest I will probably ever get, and the kid is not even a year old, so it would be almost like a family. Do I call and talk to the guy? Do I entertain this idea? Or do I tell her to take her child and go stay with the father and I try to get on with my life? This has messed me up because I have not moved on, to be honest with you. I've dated since her, but they are all very pale shadows of her. I will admit that having her here and even the baby has made me happier than I've been in a long time. This past time was really lonely, so this has helped. But I don't want to make a mistake either or hurt either of us going forward. OP, no. And don't let her stay with you either. First of all, just like you say, this situation is absolutely messed up. It's even more than messed up. And to me, the key is when you asked about, what about adoption? What about a donor? Why did she need to leave you for 2 years to go find someone to make a baby with and then come back to you? That's just... What? What is her reasoning with all this thing? She said she never stopped loving you, but then why leave you? I mean, if her whole plan was to have any other man's baby, fine, and then raise it with you, well, isn't that what a donor is for? I mean, you get to choose the person, you can see their profile and everything, you get to kind of choose half of your kid. I honestly cannot understand what she's trying to do or her whole reasoning here, if what she's saying is true. Because it could be that the kid was not planned at all, and the guy said, you know what, count me out, I'll just support him financially, and she wants to raise it with you because you're dependable. I don't know and it doesn't matter. All I would say is, OP, don't get involved. And what do you guys think? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Reach the Sky says, first of all, let's make one thing clear. You have absolutely no obligation to do anything here. Not for her or the child. You were very honest and clear from the beginning. It's not your fault that she either lied about being okay with it or decided to change her mind later on. You keep saying, I never blamed her, whatever, but in reality everything that happened is 100% her fault. She made the conscious choice to leave you and get knocked up by some rando on her own. She needs to own this. Lastly, be selfish. Don't think about her or her child. Think about yourself. Super GRB says, oh, don't kid yourself. She didn't pick a rando. She went on an intentional search and destroy mission looking for some older guy who is very well off and that her son will not want for anything. Her actions are so premeditated that I would be very anxious to get the F away from her completely. And OP responds, you actually are mostly right. By her own admission, this was almost more of a business decision than anything else. She said that from the beginning they both knew what they wanted, and that was a child. For him it was a child without the strings to being tied down. She said that he was very understanding of her desire to come back to me. None of this makes any sense to me, but if I'm listening to her side of it, basically she wanted a child that financially would be taken care of and be able to raise it with me. I just wish she would have consulted me on this plan from the beginning. Salsa Rice says, do not let her get mail sent to your house. It will be very easy for her to establish residency and legally you will not be able to kick her out. You'd have to go through legal eviction procedures, 3 months notice in most states. It doesn't matter that she isn't on a lease or mortgage, especially now. Courts would not easily let you kick out a single woman with a baby during this pandemic stuff. She needs to be gone as soon as possible. Additional information from OP's comments. Thinking about myself first has always been hard for me, but in particular when it comes to her. But almost everyone is right about this being something that I can't just change my mind on in 2 to 3 years either. I am having the hardest time with all of this. On the one hand, it wasn't a betrayal in the sense that she cheated on me. She didn't. We had a very emotional breakup. But on the other hand, she did not give us a chance to use other options. But also, if I am ever going to raise a child, either hers or someone else's, it isn't going to ever be biologically mine. The circumstances are not normal, I'll give you that. But the one thing that does play in favor here is that this is an infant. I would have no problem adopting an older child, but to be honest, an infant would make the process feel more natural. However, I do not know how the family dynamic would work. I do not know what role or how big of a role the father would play. She has told me tonight that he works for a very large firm and travels all over the country and to the UK for weeks at a time. She says she does love me and has been telling me a lot of things after I posted my original post, but at the end of the day, she did leave me for nearly 2 years. As to a place to stay? Well, that was a little more of an exaggeration on her part. Not a lie, but not the real story either. She was staying at his apartment while he was out of state on business. He came back before he was supposed to, and she said he offered to let her stay in one of the guest rooms, but she wanted to ask me, and the plan all along, according to her, was that when he came back, they had agreed to her trying to come back to me. Regarding her overall plan, the one she's telling me about, I would never have agreed to it, but I would still have felt better if we had at least talked about this. She is asleep now, but we are going to talk more tomorrow, and I know I am going to bring this up. Now, one thing I did not mention here is that she had tried to get a hold of me over the years, either via Instagram or even by texting, but I shut off all of my social media about 6 months after we split, and I did block her phone. She still had the number and used his house phone to call me. I know the consensus is that I should kick her out, but I am not sure yet what I want. Is she manipulating me? Maybe, but there really is nothing for her to come to me for. I am not rich, and she knows that. He, from everything I've been told, either is or damn near it. Am I going to be used for emotional support? I am sure there is some of that, but why wouldn't she just go look for another boyfriend if that is the case? She is still very young. He is going to pay for almost everything for the kid, including a nanny if she wants one. So again, I don't see any advantage to come to me if she doesn't really have some form of feelings for me. I don't know. It's effed up, I'll admit it. Okay, well, the community definitely told OP that they don't think he should go for this thing. And personally, I don't think so either. So let's move on to the update to see if OP is an idiot or not. I decided that before anything else was decided, I should at least try and hear what the guy had to say. So I called the number she gave me on Sunday afternoon and it went to voicemail. Left him my name and number and to call me back with a very brief description of what I was calling about. Looked up all of the information I could about him on social media. I found his Facebook and LinkedIn accounts. He's not very active on Facebook, but did have a few photos doing things over the past few years. His LinkedIn pretty much confirmed what she was saying about what he does. In the meantime, she and I began talking about the wheres and the whys. I finally decided on Saturday night that I was not going to hide how bad her leaving me was anymore, so I kind of laid it out for her. She was obviously upset, but kept mostly calm. She had a reason for everything that I'm sure in her mind made sense, but as I told her, not being a part of the decision making was not cool for me. I think she understood that and did apologize for it. He finally calls me back early Sunday evening and he and I talked for probably about half an hour. His story is pretty similar to the one she is stating. He said that at best there was a strong friendship between the two of them and that there was never any romantic relationship. He said the child was on purpose, she did not trap him. Yes, he still wants to be a father to the child, but that with his choice of career and lifestyle, he knew he was not going to be ready to be a full-time father for years to come. He stated that the financial agreement between the two of them would be that he would be willing to pay for any and all medical needs, a weekly amount of money paid to the mother until the child was 18, full tuition for college, and a trust fund that would be made available to the child after he turns 23. He then went on to tell me that he has known about me since he first met her, that she made it very clear that ultimately she wanted to come back to me. He had encouraged her to contact me a long time ago and was really surprised that I did not know anything about any of this. As to custody, he said he wanted every other holiday and 1 weekend a month, plus 2 weeks in the summer and on occasion a little longer time, but that was negotiable. I know this was a strange request, but I asked for FaceTime with him just to verify he was the same guy who was listed in the photos. He thought it was odd and unnecessary, but he did it. Yes, it was the same guy. After talking with him, she thought that I would be all content and happy, seeing as how he pretty much confirmed what she said. I told her this morning that I was not ready to be involved in this. I just find the entire thing weird. I'm still pissed that she chose to go sleep around to find the guy to have her baby with and then think I'm going to be all happy and excited to help her raise their kid. She had no answer for me when I asked why we didn't try to find a donor or adopt a child rather than just abandoning me for almost 2 years. I told her that I wasn't completely ruling out getting back together, but just now is not the right time. I'm still way too hurt about her not sharing any of this with me. She has a friend that has taken her in. I know she is very emotional, and well, so am I, to be honest with you. I just can't do this right now, and honestly, I don't think I ever will. I love her. Well, I loved the her I knew, but just to up and leave like that without talking to me or even looking at other options. Not to mention not contacting me and then showing up one day at my door with a baby in tow. She could have contacted me. She knew where I lived. If you want to know the truth, I believe she just went out to run around and then decided one day to have a baby and settle down, and she thought that was going to be with me. In the end, I'm still broken by this. It took me a long while where I didn't think about her every single damned day, and then she just shows up and makes my life miserable again. Extended update from OP's comments. Now, some said that I have no self-respect, so I'll address that. Up until the day she left me, I was the happiest person that I knew. I mean, not being able to have a natural child effed with my head for a long time, but when I found someone who seemed okay with it, I think I just latched on more than I should have. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get a woman in my age range who is okay with not having a natural born child? Let me assure you, it's not easy. I've dated quite a few, and when I feel the time is right, I let them know, and almost like clockwork, within a month of the initial reveal, they start losing their feelings. In other words, they want a child of their own, which I never have faulted them for. Secondly, saying I have no self-respect is more true than you know. I suffer from low self-esteem for a lot of reasons. But not being able to have children has always weighed very heavy in this as well, and when she left because of it, well, I will say it almost totally broke me. When she showed up, I had all forms of emotions, but one of which was honestly joy. But then as time settled, resentment overtook the joy, and I knew that ultimately it wasn't healthy for either of us. In the end, I feel confident I won't go back with her. The entire thing is just too messed up. The guy, by the way, was quite confused because he thought I was in on the plan all along. So that makes me wonder if she wasn't working him as much as she is working me now. I will also just sum it up like this. I sometimes have a dumbass tendency. Well, OP, the good thing is that you rejected it well in time to not be a dumbass. Now, OP, I do think that, as you say, not being able to have children has definitely affected you. And the fact that almost all of your girlfriends end up breaking up with you, well, it kinda does lead to that. But if I were you, I wouldn't give up. And mostly, I would go to therapy to help build self-respect. But in any case, I do wish the best for you in the future. Take care, OP, and thanks for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.